Alright, so in this video we're going to continue 3-3 polynomial long division. And since we got our feet wet, in the first video with some basic problems, we're going to go a little deeper down the rabbit hole in this one. We talked about the division algorithm, and before we apply that, we need to follow a couple steps. We write the dividend and divisor in descending powers of the variable, so highest powers first, and then we work our way down. Insert placeholders with zero coefficients for missing powers of the variable. If you go back again through the first video or the first couple examples we did, or even the huddle problems from that video, every power of x was represented. Like here in example 2, when we look at this example, it says divide x cubed minus 1 by x minus 1. And notice here we have our high power is x to the third. There is no x squared. There is no x. And then it just goes right to the constant. So what that second point up there says is insert placeholders with zero coefficients. So before I divide into this, I have to write it out as x cubed plus 0x squared. That's supposed to be a 2. Plus 0x minus 1. So I still got my x cubed minus 1, but I put some zeros in to hold the places of the missing variables, x squared and x. Now I can divide that by x minus 1. And let's see what happens. Something times x is x cubed. Well, that's got to be x squared. And then we distribute x squared, and x is x cubed. And then x squared minus 1 is minus x squared. This is where most students make a mistake. Remember, you are subtracting. X cubed minus x cubed is nothing. 0 minus a negative will turn that into a plus. So we have a plus 1x squared. Bring down the next term, plus 0x. So what times x is x squared? That's got to be a plus x. So we have x times x is x squared. X times minus 1 is minus 1x. Subtract. 0 minus a negative 1 does turn that into a positive 1x, and we bring down the next term, minus 1. That perfectly matches our divisor, so plus 1. 1 times this is exactly equal to this. So we have no remainder. It divided in there perfectly. And that should look familiar. Way back at the start of the year, we did look into how to factor x cubed minus 1. We even had that on our formula sheet until we memorized it. This x minus 1 times x squared plus x plus 1 does multiply. If we FOIL that all out, so to speak, and combine our like terms, we get back to x cubed minus 1. So again, do not forget those placeholders. That's a very common mistake. And don't forget you are always subtracting. So if it is a minus, you are going to change that to a positive sign. And let's see what we have down here. It does say algebra help. I forget what that is. You can check a long division problem by multiplying. You can review techniques to multiply polynomials. That was way back. We did that start of the year, section P3. All right, let's check out example 3 here. This looks like it's getting a little juicier, but we should be able to work our way through it. Remember back to those 2 bullet points. One of them was write the dividend and divisor in descending powers. So we're dividing into this. And let's see what our highest power is. I scan across. X to the 4th is the highest, so 2x to the 4th goes first. 2x to the 4th. We need an x cubed term. There it is, plus 4x cubed. Then we have a minus 5x squared. That's our next highest power. And then we got a plus 3x, And then last but not least, we have a minus 2. Okay, that is all in descending order. Every power was accounted for. 4, 3, 2, 1. So we don't need any zero placeholders. And we are going to divide into that. Ooh, I should have gave myself a little more room. This is another trinomial here. So what do we have? X cubed plus 2x minus 3. Or x squared plus 2x minus 3. And we're going to divide that into this beast. So a little more room here and see what we can do. So we need something up here times x squared is 2x to the 4th. Well, that's got to be 2x squared. So I'm going to write that here over the x squared term right below it. So 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the fourth. 2x squared times 2x is plus 4x cubed. Ooh, look at that. The second term fell right into place. And then 2x squared times minus 3 is minus 6x squared. So subtract. Those subtract to 0. 4x cubed minus 4x cubed, 0. Negative 5 minus a negative. That will change to a plus, and we can just add that. So that is going to add up to a positive 1x squared. Bring down the next term, plus 3x. And since this is a trinomial, it probably wouldn't hurt to bring down that last term also. Why not get it out of the way? So what times x squared is x squared? Well, that's got to be a 1. So I'll put my plus 1 here. 1 times this is going to exactly equal that again, x squared plus 2x minus 3. Subtract. Those subtract to nothing. 3x minus 2x is 1x. Negative 2 minus a negative 3 will turn that into a positive, and that will leave us an x plus 1. So that's our remainder. And I'm going to need to give myself a little more room here. I can't squeeze it in. I'm going to have to slide this over. And then we tack on our remainder. It's a positive x plus 1. So we'll do plus our x plus 1 over top of the divisor, x squared plus 2x. That's a minus 3. There we go. Again, if we want to check our work, you could multiply. You could multiply this times 2x plus 1, sort of foil that out, and then tack on an x plus 1, and you should combine all like terms and get right back to here. All right, a couple problems to practice. They mirror those two examples perfectly. The one you will need some placeholders. And I look at the 24 here. You're also going to need a placeholder in there, and make sure you write it in descending order. So pause the video, try those two out, and start her back up. All right, let's get this stuff out of the way here a little bit and get ready to do the first problem. We're dividing x minus 3 into x cubed minus 27. So we are going to need some placeholders. We got our x cubed. We got 0x squareds. We got 0x to the first powers. And then we got our minus 27, bringing up the rear there. And we're going to divide into that x minus 3. And away we go. Oops, went a little too far there. Get out of there. Okay. So something times x is x cubed. Well, that has to be x squared. X squared and x is x cubed. X squared times the minus 3 is minus 3x squared. Subtract. Those are gone. 0 minus a negative 3 is a positive 3x squared. Bring down the 0x. So something times x is 3x squared. It's got to be a 3x. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times minus 3 is minus 9x. Subtract. Those subtract to nothing. 0 minus a negative 9 turns it into a plus 9x. And we bring down our last term, 27. So something times x is 9x. It's got to be a plus 9. 9 times x is 9x. 9 times minus 3 is minus 27. Subtract. That perfectly goes to 0. So we have a 0 remainder. And again, all this is saying is if we multiply x minus 3 times this and FOIL that all out and combine like terms, we'll be to x cubed minus 27. Okay, 24. We got a 4-termer divided by a trinomial. So let's get our bigger one here in order. Biggest power is x to the 4th. So we're going to have x, oh, I should leave a little more room there. X to the 4th. Do we have an x cubed power? Yes, we do, plus 5x cubed. Squared power? No, I don't see a squared power, so we're going to have to put in a placeholder. 0x squared. And we got a minus 20x. And we got a minus 16. So there's everything in order. Descending powers, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we're ready to divide into that x cubed minus x minus 3. Or x squared, excuse me, minus x minus 3. right. I'll switch over to blue ink here. And another way to think about it is, I've been saying something up here times x squared is x to the fourth. Well, you could also think about it as division. X to the fourth divided by x squared. Well, if you're dividing, you subtract exponents. 4 minus 2 would be 2. So that would be x squared. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X squared times minus x is minus x cubed. X squared times minus 3 is minus 3x squared. So the first terms subtract off perfectly like they always should. 5x cubed minus a negative will turn that into a positive, and then we add 6x cubed. And 0 minus a negative 3x squared turns that into a plus 3x squared. And we bring down the next term, minus 20x. So this 6x cubed, we want to multiply something up here to get something times x squared is 6x cubed, or think division. 6x cubed divided by this, well, the powers would subtract, and that's going to be a 6x. So plus 6x. So we sort of distribute a 6x across this. 6x and x squared is 6x cubed. 6 squared times the minus x is minus 6x squared. 6x times minus 3 is minus 18x. And then we subtract to 0. 3 minus a negative 6 will turn that into a plus, and that'll be a 9x squared. Minus 20 minus a negative will turn that into a plus, and it will be a minus 2x. And then we drop down our last term, minus 16. Minus 16, we're running out of room, but that's okay. We're almost done. This 9x squared divided by x squared, well, it's got to be a 9. So plus 9. 9 times x squared is 9x squared. 9 times minus x is minus 9x. 9 times minus 3 is minus 27. Okay, and let's see if I can pull this off. I just got to shrink that a little bit without really losing anything. And it might be doable. Look at that. All right, subtract. 9x squared, nothing. Minus 2 minus a negative 9 is going to turn that to a plus, and that will become a 7x. Negative 16 minus a negative 27 would turn that into a plus, and that will wind up at a positive 11. So now this power is less than this power. So that's our remainder, and we've run out of room up here. So this is positive. We'll have a plus 7x plus 11 over the divisor, x squared minus x minus 3. And I believe that's the end of this video. That's all the practice problems. So we got into some deeper ones of these. Again, don't forget your placeholders and to put everything in descending order. Homework again is a worksheet. Here are the problems, I believe. You can just copy them off of here, or if you check my teacher website through the school, I usually try to have these posted in a before we go over the lessons.